Hey guys, welcome back to the new James Bond show. I'm your host, Krazy Kajeevie with no fears, limits or substitutes. The bad boy of James Bond is back, and I've got 00 Scooby as well, the bad doggy of James Bond. Guys, Daniel Craig is gone. James Bond, the Daniel Craig version, is gone. He is cactus. He's toast. He's the burnt offering. He got wasted with missiles. He is not coming back. If anyone thinks that series of James Bond is going to continue and go on as it is, well, guys, I'm sorry, but it's not. And I'll tell you what, they are not going to cast a new actor as that same James Bond that Daniel Craig was playing and have him say, "Woohoo! I'm back, everybody! I survived the 2,000 missiles that dropped on my head, and I used some good Epsom salts and a seance with Baron Samedi to come back," and that's not going to happen. So where to, guys? Where to from here? Where do the producers go? Where do the fans hope the producers go? What are the bookies saying? What are the shills on their keyboard saying? Well, there's so much rumor and speculation, but really, I guess before any form of reboot can happen with James Bond, the producers are probably going to be looking at a director. However, Barbara Broccoli did say on 60 Minutes, I believe the American version as well as the one I watched here, the Australian version, that they were going to start the look for a new James Bond in 2022, particularly start from, I believe, about February onwards. Now that, I'm going to get back to the casting and the directing and all that in a moment, but that brings me to a really interesting point. I've heard a lot of different 007 channels, James Bond channels, talk about the potential of when we're going to get this next James Bond incarnation. And one thing I really disagree with, and I'm kind of shocked by it, is the consensus seems to be on many of these channels that we're not going to get another James Bond film for 5 or 6 years. And I have no idea what these people are sniffing. I don't know what they're on, or it's funny enough, they never really give a justification for it. You don't put out a film in 2015, Spectre, then with the pandemic, you don't then have to be forced to wait 6 years, and then go and wait another 4, 5, 6 years. You don't do it. It's really, really bad business. Now, particularly that Amazon have also bought out MGM. They are going to be, they want to make money. They're probably going to be on Eon Productions' backside to make money. I also believe that Barbara Broccoli has got a little bit of a new rocket up her butt, and she realised they're taking on Mission Impossible. If the James Bond franchise doesn't come back thick and fast, just like in the days of Cubby Broccoli did and Harry Saltzman, how they would slap out Bond films, she's got to go up against, and Michael G. Wilson, if he's producing, though I don't think that will happen, more than likely one of his sons, but they're up against Mission Impossible. You can't let Mission Impossible release 2 films back to back and not have the new James Bond film either out within that time or at least on the hemisphere, on the horizon. They've got to have a James Bond presence. Now, of course, it's the 60th anniversary since Dr. No, 1962. 60th anniversary next year of James Bond on screen. What I believe they will do, this is just my prediction, I believe they will announce the new James Bond, most likely in October on International James Bond Day. I think that will be the way to go. Now, here's the great news, guys, before I get into all the nitty-gritty. If they do that, if they're looking for the new James Bond, as Barbara Broccoli said in February 2022, that tells me that they will start production next year. So I believe we are going to get a James Bond film, a new one, very, very soon. That's my prediction. I think they're going to go for it. I think they're going to roll the dice. And also, don't forget, this film was pretty much finished by the end of 2019. They wanted to release it early. Originally, it was going to be Valentine's Day 2020. So come February 2022, the film has basically been finished for 2 years. And I'm hoping, and I'm sure they've used some of that time to look at the future, even though Barbara Broccoli's denied it here and there, to see where they're going. So that future would probably start with the direction, etc., of the storyline and all that time period, and I'll get to that in a moment. But first off, let's look at the directors. The directors that are touted. The fans want Martin Campbell to come back. A lot of film auteurs want Denis Villeneuve to come into the James Bond franchise. He's a fantastic director. He's just directed the new film Dune, which I haven't seen yet. But I do love his work, especially on the first Sicario film. I thought it was fantastic. Other names are Christopher Nolan, that gets bandied around a lot. And could Sam Mendes potentially come back? I doubt that one will happen. Out of my pick overall, I've done a video on it very recently, guys. If you have a look at 4 videos down on my channel here, you'll see a video about who I think should direct James Bond 26. And that man, it's going to be a bit of a spoiler here because he's not mentioned in the thumbnail of that video, but that man is Alexander Witt, the second unit director for basically all the Daniel Craig films except for Quantum of Solace. He's 69 years of old. If they're going to get this thing going really quick, he'll be perfect for it. He's a very young looking and talking 69-year-old, and he did the fantastic second unit work on No Time to Die as well. Basically, the Aston Martin stuff, all that car chase stuff you saw, that was the work of Alexander Witt. Of course, with the direction behind him of Kerry Fukunaga, but Fukunaga was basically in London filming a lot of the stuff while he was going back and forth by conference calls and schematics and all that, storyboards, etc. for Alexander Witt to direct that. But that's a direction I think they need to go. That will keep the budgets low, and why not go back to tradition in promoting someone with inside? And that way, I think that Alexander Witt would create a James Bond film and not necessarily a Kerry Joji Fukunaga film, a Sam Mendes film, a Christopher Nolan film. Now, of course, Kerry Fukunaga himself is a chance to come back, and apparently he's also said that, yeah, he would be happy to come back and direct a James Bond film, whether that's going to be the next one or down the track, who knows. Martin Campbell is also actually keen to come back. Now, Martin Campbell is, I believe Martin Campbell's on 79. I'll check that out. He's 78. He's 78 years old. So that would be interesting. And again, they would have to get this Bond film in production pretty quickly. For me, Christopher Nolan would have to be, if he was going to come back, it would be like a 3-part Blofeld trilogy. Like literally a remake of Thunderball, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, You Only Live Twice. Something like that, where that guy can really put his teeth into it. And that's probably not the direction that I really want to see them go. So my pick would be Alexander Witt. Actor, wow. Look, it's probably going to have to be... Yeah, hopefully we're seeing something new on the horizon. Maybe they realise they can't make these Bond films so big, and that way and so expensive, and that way we're going to get Bond films a bit more often. And it just makes sense. So with that, I'd love to go a younger actor. Now, the regular names that are always mentioned, of course, the garbage ones, the ones that are never going to be James Bond. I promise you guys, they are never going to go with the actors that are always touted by bookies that use people as suckers to make money, and Screen Rant and other flog papers and social media websites, etc., put out these fake odds of basically this actor's going to be this actor's going to be this, just so the bookies can make money. And no doubt the bookies are sharing a few coins with those companies that put out those articles. And of course, we always hear about Idris Elba. It's not going to happen. My personal opinion is James Bond should stay as Ian Fleming created him. He's a white British imperialistic male, and I just believe that's what the fans want. I believe that's tradition, and I think we need to stick with tradition. Of course, there's other names like Tom Hiddleston, Tom Hardy. I think they're too well known and also all getting on a little bit. My preference is Matthew Good, but considering 3-4 years between films, etc., I don't think Matthew Good's going to get the role. But he's also out in a new film called Silent Night. Kind of a bit of a weird, freaky, horror, emotional Christmas film. Something that's got a real dark twist to it. So maybe that could show Babs that Matthew Good is still bankable and on the horizon, and that would be my choice. But I believe they're going to go with a younger actor, guys. I think we're looking at someone like I would love Nicholas Hoult. I think he would. I think they can't go from a dark, hard-ass Bond back to a Brosnan type. They've got to keep still a bit of a brooding, still a bit of a mystery, still a bit of a toughness. And an actor like Nicholas Hoult, or a good actor who comes on, would also want to bring their chops to it and probably not go back to that Die Another Day, that kind of Pierce Brosnan type era thing. So I personally think, out of all the names that have been mentioned over the last few years, there's only one real name there that I think is a possibility. And sadly, it's not Henry Cavill in a way. Oh, look, he is, but I don't know if they'll go to someone so famous. But the actor that really keeps a low-key profile, we never even hear of him, and he was a big name a few years ago, and that is Aidan Turner. And I still think he'd be a great Bond. But I think they'll go younger, and my prediction to go for a younger, cheekier, suave, sexy, smooth Bond with a young edge, if they're going to kind of maybe show him potentially coming out of the Navy or something like that. My pick is Max Irons. My good friend, shout out to Frank Hughes, put me onto Max Irons a while ago. And I've come around. To Max Irons. My personal preference is Nicholas Hoult, Aidan Turner, or Matthew Good. But if they're going to go younger, fitter, and keep this Bond around for a while, I think Max Irons is someone and he's left of field. You're not going to get a big star put into James Bond. So that's what I think they're going to do there. Okay, so overall, I mean, the hot topic is, where are they going to go in terms of direction? Are we going to keep the James Bond films temporary? Should they go back? Now, my opinion has changed on this. I have said previously that I would like to see the Ian Fleming books done and then go back to the 50s and 60s. But when you realistically look at that, one thing that I thought about later was, do we really want to see a new Bond come in with a 60s hairdo? Do we want to see the women with 60s hairdo, 60s clothing? Do we want to kind of go that route? Could that become a bit too like parody, a bit too funny? You know, would it be then picked and mocked on within the media? So that could be a little bit dangerous. So I think they need to stick contemporary. However, more than likely, they're not going to go back and do like, you know, Dr. No from Russia Love. They're not going to do all the books like that. I do disagree with certain people that think that if they go back and they were to do the Dr. No books, or they were to do Moonraker or whatever else, that they couldn't do those films in a contemporary fashion. Absolutely they could do. And they don't have to just go back and do the novels exactly how the novels are written. The best proof of this is arguably one of the best James Bond films ever made, Casino Royale. And it's like, oh, they went back to the novel. Yeah, but the film was really nothing like the novel. There was, even the way 007, when James Bond got his 007 number, was nothing like in the novel. They came up with a complete new way of doing it. So, could they do that? Could they redo the books and things like Live and Let Die, Moonraker, etc.? Absolutely, they could. But do we want the movies that have the same titles as before? Probably not. So what I think they need to do is just come up with, keep Bond in the contemporary world. Also, if you have a look at the Bond films from years and years, Eon have been getting millions and millions of dollars, up to $50-60 million a film for advertising. And what are they going to do when Nokia want to advertise their new Nokia phone? Omega want to do their new Mega watch. So for sake of getting dollars on an advertising, I think they also need to keep it in the contemporary world. So I think they will go down that path. And I think that they should. My opinion is, and you guys know, you're pretty much here for the James Bond show to hear my opinion because I'm outspoken and get to the nitty gritty. I believe it will be contemporary, and that they've just got to bring the budgets in, rein the budgets in, and lose the CGI. Go back to model miniatures as much as possible. Use the CGI when needed, but limited and as natural as possible. That's what I would do there, guys. So yeah, keep it in the, I think they'll keep it in the contemporary setting. One thing I want to comment on in the future of James Bond is music. And I really wanted to address this. What I'd love them to do, probably what you all want. I believe for the future of James Bond, when we're if they bring in someone like Alexander Witt, who's been with the Bond family for a while, let's bring back the man we love, who's been in the Bond family, but he hasn't been there since 2008. Bring back David Arnold. Please, Barbara Broccoli. I don't know if he came over, raided your fridge, peed on your couch, didn't flush the toilet at your house. I don't know what David Arnold has done wrong. But please, Barbara, bring back David Arnold to score the next James Bond film. Bring the family back. Keep it a family thing. Budget's lower. Film time run lower. Bring in a second unit director. Bring in David Arnold to score the films, because he is our generation's John Barry. 60th anniversary, we're not going to get a heck of a lot, but like I said before, I think they'll announce the actor on the 60th. And again, I just want to reiterate, if they do announce the new actor on the 60th anniversary next year, then that tells me that they're probably going to go into production by December, like they used to do. Pretty much late November, 1st of December, go into production, and then we get a James Bond film, the next Bond film, in 2023. And I think that is absolutely a possibility. And Barbara Broccoli, if you ever hear this, just do it. Just keep the budgets lower, keep everything tighter, and just get a Bond film out. You've had time. Stop sitting on your laurels. Get this out. Also, we are going to get the video game as well. There's going to be a new James Bond video game. But the video game I want, and I reckon a lot of the fans would want, where is a No Time to Die video game? Every Bond movie that comes out, like even Spectre, go back and make a Spectre video game. It would be awesome, especially all the Day of the Dead stuff, buildings falling around, Bond fighting in the helicopter would be awesome. And I would love to see a video game of No Time to Die, and I think it's a real lost opportunity, especially with 2 years waiting for this film during the pandemic, or at least nearly 2 years. Film title, I would like them to go back to the novels, whether they use a lot of the source material or whatever, but I would like them to go back to the short story, Risiko. I want to see Risiko or Property of a Lady, but my preference is Risiko. Bring back Fleming. They've done a great job, I've got to admit, since Casino Royale. They have done a great job of going back to Fleming, and I think show the fandom and educate the lukewarm Bond fans that Risiko is a James Bond short story, and you're going to go back to that. That's my thoughts, guys. That's my thoughts on what I think, where they're at, and what's going to happen. I'd love to know your comments, guys. What do you think? Do you agree with some of my things, or do you have other ideas? And if so, leave them in the comments section below. Let me know where you think James Bond should go, where it will go, who you would cast as James Bond. Try and be realistic, guys. Be realistic. Do we really want a big name? Do we want a 5'9" plumber-looking guy like Tom Hardy, who's like 43 years of age, or do we want a younger, no-name actor, or someone who's not a huge star? And that's what I want. That's why Max Irons is my pick, or Nicholas Hoult. I've been Krazy Kajeevie, guys. Till next time, keep on bonding and say hi to your mum for me. It's almost asleep, isn't it? See you guys.